16 years of experience in education. He attended Sam Houston University, and I understand he's still, yes, and he's still a trumpet player, if I remember correctly, and he still plays quite a bit. Yes, so excited to have you too, Christopher. And we also wanted to introduce Heather Cox as our Director of Human Resources. She has been this is her 20th year in education, and she's been serving as the principal of Riddle Elementary for the past 7 years. She graduated from University of North Texas, Lamar University, and she has a granddaughter that I know she had just talked about coming back from Disney, if I believe, Kinley, that's 6 years old. Okay, we're glad to have you. Now we can get all of you to stand up there and we can get a picture. Welcome.
All right, next up, public comments for agenda items for tonight. No public comments. All right. Notifications are in your package of new hires and resignations. Item 8 is our consent agenda. Anything anyone would like pulled for review and further consideration? If there's none, I'd consider a motion.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
So moved. Amy Smith, second Jeff Wood. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item 9, open a public hearing on budget and proposed tax rate. Mr. Willman.
Okay. That is language. Thank you. Sure. No. I'm gonna present on our budget. So today's goals, we're gonna go through and walk through and give you an update on our current year projections and where we think we're gonna end this current year, which ends on June 30th. And then we're going to walk through, again, the journey that we have been on in creating the 2023-2024 budget that we're presenting today in this final draft. There is a slide missing, so I apologize. There is supposed to be a slide that shows you kind of where we're at in the current year. So based on what we know right now, we're anticipating on ending the year at roughly a $4.4 million surplus. This is an increase from what we have been presenting in the previous budget workshops of ending the year of roughly about $3 million. Due to kind of some of the uncertainties of the 88th legislative session and the funding, our department and school leaders continue to search for cost saving measures, which resulted in about an additional $350K savings to our non-personnel budgets. And then due to these efforts, we did not utilize our $400K of our contingency that we had in place. So we had about a $550K contingency, of which we only used 150 and not the full 550. And then between additional interest earnings and additional being able to leverage grant opportunities such as the security grant that contributed an additional 229 of savings. And then as we continue to navigate through the funding, the complexities and the ins and outs of the funding template, we did notice that when we were doing our projections, we did project accurately our revenue for tax collections, What we did not use was the actual tax collections in the template, which guides recapture. We are using a higher tax collection rate, which was tied to our budget, which was incorporated the VATRE. So after sharing this and having multiple eyes on it with outside resources, we caught that, and that resulted in about a $424K savings in our recapture. So that adds up to about the 1.4 million of additional surplus from the 3 million to the 4.4 million.
And board, I would add that is slide 51 in your electronic packet.
And so this year's projection is just a step in our journey that began at the close of the 2021 fiscal year, when we ended the year with only 74 days of operating expenses in the fund balance, which led to some cash concerns in November and being able to fund payroll for November and December. A lot of that is due to our tax collections coming in, and a majority, 90+% of our cash comes in December, January, and February. And then November 21, the board and administration established the budget priorities, which was focusing on restoring and maintaining a healthy fund balance, excuse me, employee compensation, attendance, and enrollment. During the year, we also had the formation of the Financial Sustainability Committee. And through this committee, there was a recommendation of maximizing the remaining copper pennies and approving a budget for the 22-23 school year that included a VATRE. We concluded the year in 21-22 with a surplus of about 2.4 million, which increased our fund balance to 103 days from the 74 days. Due to the non-passing of the VATRE in November of 2022, we were faced with the difficult financial decisions to get to a balanced budget in the 23-24 fiscal year. In March of 2023, we had a reduction in force and also incorporated some program restructuring. And the current state of our projection adds to the fund balance as we wrap up the current year of the 22-23, increases the number of days up to 149 from the original 130. As we previously mentioned, the board administration developed these 4 priorities: the fund balance, employee compensation, attendance, and enrollment. Due to Lovejoy's high dependency on tax collection, as I mentioned, it is a recommendation that we have at least 120 days of fund balance in order to cash flow operations throughout the year. So some of the work that we've done towards restoring our fund balance is maximizing on some one-time grant opportunities, such as our ESSER funds, the security grant, our child care grant as well. And then program restructuring, reviewing of master schedules, and then continued efforts of finding and implementing operational efficiencies within, for instance, system upgrades in finance and HR, and then our zero-based budgeting. As we developed our 23-24 budget, with our focus on fund balance, we're continuing our Lovejoy Scholar tuition program, which has an annual revenue of about $1 million. We did scaling of staff due to declining enrollment. And then we also did, again, the program restructuring, the reduction in force, and reorganization. This amounts to about $670,000 in savings on the staffing and restructuring side. In our 23-24 budget, we've also addressed employee compensation through a 3% salary increase for all staff. We're also increasing our minimum wage to $15 per hour. We've also increased our stipends for our special ed staff from $2,000 to $5,000. Then we're also increasing our contribution to the medical insurance by $50 per month. This all amounts to about a financial impact of 1.2 million of additional expenditures. And then some additional M&O budget assumptions we're anticipating a 13.5% annual property value growth. Originally, we had been doing about 7.5, in between 7 and 7.5. That was the norm, except for last year and the current year. Those are the 2 outliers. We're making the assumption that the outliers are now the norm. We also did a deep dive into our enrollment projections. We looked at our current enrollment and see how they would advance in grades. Engaged a demographer multiple times throughout the year to make sure we had the most recent data on home sales, home builds, and things of that nature. And then really looked into our Lovejoy Scholar program. And our assumptions, we're assuming a 95.5% attendance rate, which is pretty comparable to what we've seen the last couple of years, ranging from about 95.4 to about 95.6%. We do have a built-in contingency, which is a fixed amount of $300,000 annually. In this budget, we are through the legislative session, they did pass the increase in the guaranteed yield. This is part of the tier 2 funding, which increased the value about $750K to our budget. And then also the increase in per campus funding, $15,000 for the safety and security. They did increase also very minimal to $10 per student, which only amounted to about $1,500 for Lovejoy, very minimal. And then we also incorporated increase in our transportation fees, which nets us about $207,800. We've also added some additional resources to help support our students. We have definitely within our special education department with five additional teachers, 2 additional ed diags, 2 special ed clerks, an additional SLP. We've also added 2 additional NTSS positions. We also added an additional school marshal to help support over at the high school. And what is not listed on here, but we've also added was an additional counselor at the high school. So again, here's the increase in the transportation fees again. The increase by $100 from $350 to $450 nets at $207,000 roughly. It's still operating at a deficit budget. We don't get very much from the state. And then with the tuition, we still have about $500,000 in deficit in operating the transportation program. So with all that being said, and incorporating all of our assumptions, we are looking at a balanced budget for the 23-24 year, but with 125 days of operating fund balance. But then as we look out into the future, we can see that we're going to potentially have additional deficit budgets for 24-25 and the 25-26 year, which would then bring down our fund balance back to where we started in the 2020-21 year of roughly 73 days. So as we continue over the course of the summer, we're going to continue to monitor our enrollment and ensure that we're tracking towards budget. We're slightly off year to date with our enrollment, roughly about 80 to 100 students. So we'll continue to monitor enrollment. We have held some positions for hiring due to ratio. So as we get closer to meeting our classroom ratios, then we'll release those positions for hiring. If we don't meet those ratios and we don't meet our enrollment targets, we have the flexibility to reduce those positions to help accommodate for the lack of funding for those enrolled students. We're also going to continue to monitor potential legislative changes through the special session, really looking at seeing any potential basic allotment or any changes in additional expenditure requirements or unfunded mandates. And then we'll continue to explore our structure, such as our 8-period day at the secondary level, our programs, and then any other revenue generating fees for future consideration. Okay. So we are required to present a functional budget for our general fund, our student nutrition, and our debt service. So here is our functional budget for the 23-24 year. Which includes in the function, our budget includes the $7,000 for the accelerated instruction in function 11. This also includes our TRS Medicare Part D on behalf revenue and expenditures. And then also includes in breaking out the required postings for our function 41 with the published required notice and the lobbying fees or the lobbying cost. So you can see here, we have pretty much a balanced budget. Comparable to very much what we presented in the previous slides. And then we have our student nutrition. We're showing the breakout of the different revenue sources. And then there's only one function within student nutrition, which is function 35. We're presenting a balanced budget. In the current year, we are showing that we have a surplus of roughly 390,000 in the current year. The reason why we're not showing a surplus budget here is because of the new school day calendar. We have a reduction in number of serving days. So that's less revenue. And we also increased the minimum wage for our staff to $15. So most of that surplus that we've earned in the current year will be absorbed through less revenue and increased costs. And then our debt service, pretty much have the exact debt service amount, balanced budget. It's a little bit lower than what we've done last year. Again, that's because of the excess tax collections in 2020-21 that moved into the 21-22 school year. And we're not seeing as high of excess taxes going into the 23-24 year. For our timeline. So tonight we will adopt the 23-24 budget for all three M&O, student nutrition, INS, and then also adopt the compensation plan. And this current M&O budget reflects the current year tax rate. We will bring back in August the new tax rate that TEA will provide us with the maximum compression rate. So this budget again will have a tax rate of the current year tax rate. All right, thank you. Yes, sir. That's the end of my presentation. It's spread out across all the functions, so we equally distribute it. So that way, if something does happen, we don't have to come back to the board to approve a change in the functions. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's evenly distributed percentage-wise of the functional budget. Yep. Yes. So it is the recommendation of the administration that the Board of Trustees adopt the budget and proposed tax rate as presented.
Their exact language. I move that we adopt the budget as presented and tax rate for the 2023 and 24 school years.
Act on the
Good evening, everyone. I think Thomas has set me up well for this. They went through it. First of all, hold on, the wrong presentation here. Let me get the other one. Here we go. Of course, Thomas had mentioned this. Some of our budget priorities are the second priority, of course, was employee compensation. So I did share in the board book. I believe you have a copy of the compensation plan that you can also refer to as we talk about this. Of course, our financial sustainability, we used our Lovejoy 2030 strategic plan, and it said Lovejoy ISD will develop and implement intentional staffing efficiencies. And we have worked this past year on those, and proud to say our principals and staff directors have done an excellent job. We used some of the staffing guidelines to develop master schedules. We reviewed contract days, job descriptions, and compensation before filling vacant positions. Had some standards that we reviewed as a cabinet. We reviewed this pretty frequently in our meetings also. We looked at master schedules, and that's how we were able to do some scaling with employees. So we did not have to rift that through attrition, that we were able to scale some of our employees there where the numbers were, our enrollment numbers were dropping somewhat. We also looked at like travel times and balancing classes and teacher workloads. And then, of course, we had a committee that also talked about master scheduling this past year and made some impacts on our calendar, made an impact on that. Thomas has already shared this with you, so it's nothing new there, but I believe we shared this with you at the budget workshop a couple of weeks ago. Just some of the things that we are excited that we can do. We can increase, of course, the salary by 3%. We're raising the base pay for our employees that are hourly by $15. That special ed stipend I know means a lot to our special education teachers by $5,000. And then, of course, that the monthly additional medical insurance contribution. So definitely appreciate those. If you can see, Thomas went over this somewhat specifically, the five special education teachers that we added to educational diags, the special education clerks, a speech pathologist, to multi-tiered support system personnel, a school marshal, and then of course he talked to you about the counselor too that we're going to add at the high school. So we're super excited to add that staff, and because of some of the other some of the other decisions made were led us to be able to do this. I did want to share the teacher salary scale. This is the same one that we used last year. It's a new hire scale. So people coming in, people that we are hiring into the district, this is what we would hire them in on depending on how many years of service. So we look at service credit when we do quote a salary here. We also talked, we wanted to make it clear that this is for teachers, nurses, and librarians. The salary scale is for like new hires, but there is a 3% raise that I put in bold there so our teachers would know that, so that whatever they made this year is 3% higher than that. I also put a note in here about the special, the legislative, the 88, the Texas legislature in the 88th regular or special sessions. If anything else were to come up, fifth day from the first day of school. And so there are some penalties if we have people that resign or from our district. So we just want to make a note of that too. That is our teacher salary scale there. Just these are some of the positions that are impacted, just some examples that where we raise the salary. And I mean, there are quite a few special education instructional aides on campuses. So that was a big impact there, student nutrition specialists, PE aides. So it really impacted aides, raising that to $15. So that we're proposing there. What that also meant, though, since we were raising the $15, the base salary, there was a career pathway. So if we raised those, then we needed to raise these a little bit for that career pathway there. So, for example, and the other one, a custodian might start at $15 an hour, and then a lead custodian, of course, would start more than that because they're probably supervising the custodian. So that did impact our compensation plan somewhat too. We were happy to do that too. But those were just some examples of some jobs that were impacted. And as I shared with you last time, we looked at medical benefits and district contribution, and this too impacted there. So on the primary care, we have currently this past year, we had 100 employees on this. We have about 60% of our employees that do take out medical insurance through the district. And you can see the $50 increase from $225 to $275 greatly impacted our employees, and especially the employee only there. So the rate last year for out of pocket was $185. This year it's going to be $175 for employee onlys that take that the primary care, and then also employee and children. They would be saving about $23 a month by increasing that by $50 there. So it shows you the rate from the rate, and then actually what's going to happen this year. And then of course that out of pocket, the annual out of pocket there. And then we have 171 staff on the active care HD plan, and it too for the employee. The contribution is going to save them about $10 a month, which were very similar, and the employee and child at 21. It's going to cost a little bit more for employee and staff, $11 a month, and for the employee and family about $102 a month there. But we do appreciate the increasing that employee contribution. We know that was every $25 is about $90,000 through the budget. As I mentioned last time, the new medical rates released by TRS, which were end of May, did do some things. It lowered the primary and PCP and mental health copays from 30 to 15, the primary deductible from $360 to $2,400. The virtual mental health visit copays from 70 to nothing. So we are fortunate. We give a let me talk. I think I'm being shown up there. So the PowerPoint. Thank you. Anyway, and also it talked about we're fortunate. We do telehealth here, which is super nice. We pay for every employee, and that's $10 a month that we pay for employee and their family. And that is our compensation plan, which led right into our the budget plan there. We are asking, administration is asking that the Board of Trustees approve the 2023-2024 compensation plan as presented.
So super excited to be able to give a raise and increase compensation, given the challenges that we faced. Certainly, there's never enough money, and this is certainly not all we want to do. But I'm grateful that we can. Also appreciate the work on the benefits. I know you've worked hard, and your staff have to ensure that we continue to support the effort there and help our teachers out. So good job with that, and making the very most out of the opportunities that you had. So appreciate the hard work.
Thank you. It's a privilege. Okay.
Questions for Anna? Comments?
Questions?
If there are none, I'd consider a motion.
I move that we adopt the 2023-24 compensation plan as presented.
Julie,
Yeah. Thank you.
Motion made by Julie McLaughlin, second by Marvin Bobo. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Item 13, consider an act on My Community Credit Union, known as MCCU Memorandum of Understanding. Dr. Tinsley.
Yes, thank you. I shared a couple of months ago that the district was in discussion with My Community Credit Union about bringing a branch to Lovejoy High School, that our students and our financial and literacy programming and accounting programming would have an opportunity to do to enhance the coursework and offer opportunities for a practicum course that we currently are not offering. So what I'm bringing to you tonight is an MOU with an agreement to engage with My Community Credit Union with bringing this program to Lovejoy High School. As a reminder, this was part of our strategic planning of Lovejoy 2030, that we were looking for opportunities to establish partnerships to enhance the student learning experience. And this is an excellent example of what we can bring for our students here in Lovejoy. Also, how it also supports teaching and learning piece here by increasing those opportunities for those exploratory experiences, looking for opportunities for educational, for future ready learning for our students, and then also engaging with our community and postgraduate success for our students as well. As I mentioned, this would give us, be able to expand our accounting and financial programming pathways at Lovejoy High School and offer a practicum in business management for our students that we currently are not able to offer. What the partnership would include where we would agree to designate a centralized space to house the branch at Lovejoy High School. And in the MOU, you see a diagram there of the location where we're looking at is it's a location right across from the library upstairs that we believe can be where it can open up to where it can look like somewhat of a storefront up there for our students. Again, it would we would design a course plan for the practicum experiences. This would not begin until 2024 because we would need a year to build the program and to retrofit the area for the branch to be housed. It would also be able to bring some quality resources, not just for our high school students, but also our younger students in the financial literacy standards that we're obligated to teach. There are math courses, and the organization MCCU would pay for the design, the architecture, and the technical costs related to establishing this. That would not be any cost to the district. We have, you'll see in the MOU that the agreement is to fund a percentage of a teacher salary for up to 3 years, $20,000 per year. And that MCCU would hire a full-time employee that would be assigned to the branch, and then also supporting our students along with an assigned instructor. And again, the expected start date would be August 1st, 2024. So this would be going in for students during the following school year. It would just, again, opportunity for it to establish a corporate partnership, sponsorship with MCCU, and we've been in discussion with them about providing funding for like our new teacher breakfast, possible some scholarship opportunities for our students, teacher recognition programming, and again, expanding our curriculum for K-12 when it comes to financial literacy. So within the MOU there, you'll see, as I mentioned, the responsibilities of LISD would to provide the space for the bank branch. And I mentioned the area upstairs across from the library. We would assign an instructor that we would provide training in and working in conjunction with MCCU. And then also we would be responsible for co-creating those financial literacy instructional materials as well. The responsibilities of MCCU would be the cost that would be incurred to convert the space. They would also be responsible for furnishing that equipment, cost of phone lines, security that would be specific to the branch there. They would pay the salary of the full-time employee. They would be obligated to follow our LISD security measures. And so when we've talked to them about some just cameras and security, there would be some cameras that would be specifically to where the money is, that we would not necessarily have that access, but that would be for their branch. But everything else we would have access to. They would work with us on that. They've also agreed to help pay a stipend to our teachers that would help be co-creating the curriculum with the branch. And then again, the $20,000 annual cost to cover a portion of the teacher salary. The hours would be the regular school hours, the calendar, and also the school day. So there would not be, like, the branch would not be open until 6 o'clock in the evening. It would follow the schedule at the high school. We would also have an exclusive debit card for LISD, and we've talked to them about having our students help design that. With our logos and representing the district. Also some opportunities for some partnership accounts where they're waiving the membership fees for community students and staff. And then just some sponsorship and branding opportunities that we could engage in with the organization. So any questions about the MOU?
If there are none, I consider a motion. We've obviously reviewed this stuff, and so we've seen it multiple times, and excited about the opportunity to partner with
We are too.
them
Thank
and
you.
appreciate the opportunity as well.
I move that we approve this MOU with my community credit union.
And this is the first branch in a school that my community credit union. So we're at the ground floor with the organization. So excited about that.
So move Marvin Bobo, second Jeff Wood, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, item 14 would be cabinet reports.
All right, we just a couple of weeks ago finished summer curriculum writing. We had a lot of fun, and you're going to see this in some of the photos as we run through here, but we had 3 days of curriculum writing, and that's for pre-K all the way up through 12th grade, our courses at the high school. It involved over 100 members of our staff. This room was packed along with some other rooms here in the building, involving general education teachers, special education teachers, GT, our instructional coaches, and then content coordinators were leading this. So we start the work with looking at our current student performance data, because that helps drive our needs and our alignment of our curriculum documents as we're looking into 23-24. So what the work of the group did, we worked on either revising or creating new curriculum documents and assessments, integration of some of our new instructional resources. They were super excited about what's being brought forth and had time to review that and started incorporating that into the curriculum documents. And then, of course, revising our pacing guides, our scope and sequences. So we did a lot of learning and collaboration together. As you can see, the center photo there, this was the group that started out. I believe this may have been our language arts and our math group that started out that day here in the library. We had theme days, as if you can tell there. So the first day actually was, I think, concert t-shirt day. So we had all kinds of different outfits, and then it seemed to get better every day. They tried to outdo each other. So you'll see that in just a minute. So we had 4 teams. We had the science team, we had the social studies team, we had the language arts team, and the math team. And the social studies team was behind, but came back the last day to win. And the way they earned their points, it was based on some of the outfits that they wore. They got scored on that. The fun that they brought to the learning. And also they had, they brought snacks. So we had taste testers every day based on the theme. So again, we didn't have to pay for it. They brought their own snacks. So anyway, but we did provide childcare, which we had not done that in the past. And we do think that that really did help our staff. We had it from 8 to 2 o'clock. So they were not here all day, and we brought in lunch. So we had had some problems the past couple of summers of really recruiting teachers to come in and do the work with us. But we think that with offering the child care lunch and then bringing the fun on really made a difference this year. So as you can see, the purple team right there, that's our science team. So, but I think there were quite a few Amazon orders going on as they were seeing what they were bringing each day. So we had a good time, but best of all, we created some great resources for our teachers. So. All right. Mm-hmm.
All right, good evening. So for the finance update, in the month of May, we did collect an additional 275 across both the general fund and the debt service and tax collection. We also earned an additional for the month, about 116,000 in interest revenue. We also ended the month with roughly 221 days of cash on hand. We also have an update on the school district property value study. So the last month when we presented, 4 of the 11 districts were considered valid. Since then, an additional 3 districts have been submitted and found as valid and within the confidence interval. Unfortunately, Lovejoy ISD is still one of the 4 remaining districts to be considered as invalid. So the next steps are that Collin County CAD has scheduled with the Property Tax Assistance Division a hearing with the State Office of Administrative Hearing, which will occur sometime in August or September. So hopefully we can bring some closure to that later on this year. When we look at our tax collections through the end of May, you can see that we're showing that we have over 100% of collections. So the original levy, which reflects the property value as of July of 2022, showed that we'd have our original levy about 50 million. We do have additional supplements and adjustments that have occurred since then, roughly 1.3 million. So our revised tax levy is 51.3 million, which leaves us about a little lower than $1 million left of collections. And just we're excited that we are pretty much a completely full team. All of our positions have been filled. We introduced Vicki Neff tonight. We've also promoted our business service specialist, Cassandra Rice, into the financial and compliance analyst position. And we've also extended an offer, and she has accepted as our new business service specialist, Julie Denham. And we've hired a great candidate today, or not hired, we interviewed a great candidate for our payroll specialist vacancy, and hope to be extending her an offer and hope that she will accept the position. So we're excited to hopefully be able to kick off the year fully staffed for the 23-24 school year. Our student nutrition is fully staffed. In previous years, we had an area supervisor that oversaw all the schools. We believe that we can absorb this internally with our current staff. So we've eliminated this position for the 23-24 school year. And then here we are celebrating the end of a successful school year over at Lupe's Tortilla. Excited eating some tacos and some chips and queso. Shared our successes for the year and our trips for the summer. We're excited to take 2 weeks off to refresh and renew and come back strong on July 10th and hit the ground running for another fun-filled, successful year.
Thank you, Thomas. Okay. Excited to share our HR update. We are having fun in HR. We're meeting a lot of new hires that we were able to introduce tonight. So it's been a lot of fun. We still have some staffing needs that we're looking for. I always put our QR code anywhere and everywhere. So if you know someone, please have them apply. We have some special education openings, both as aides and teachers, science, English, custodians, student nutrition, office and clerical positions. And anyway, so if you want to refer someone, please do have them call us and we will get them interviewed and hired. So while Thomas takes his 2 weeks off and his team relaxes and refreshes, we're going to do that in the fall. And the way I look at it is it's a little bit cooler in the fall anyway, right, Thomas? So, and no one will be on vacation then. So anyways, yeah, it'll be good. Wanted to share with you, we had our end of the year celebration, and of course we celebrate people at our end of year celebration, and we had some retirees we celebrated. We actually had, 6 retirees. We had 3 there, Michelle Dickerson, Rachel Merrick, Betty Tubbs, Deneen Christian, Ann Day, and James Longhorn, and they retired from our district, and we wish them well and wish them the best. And anyway, but it's always bittersweet to see them go. They put in long careers, and we were happy to recognize them at the end of the year celebration. We also celebrate our 5-year recipients for service awards. And so we had quite a few there. All those people just finished 5 years on Lovejoy ISD. As you know, I'm going to share some photos at the end here of our end of the year celebration. But yeah, it was a lot of fun there. You can see the cornhole game right there in front. And our 10-year recipients right there too. Able to give them something special and recognize them. And 15-year recipients. And then, of course, we had a 20-year, Mr. James Nix. He just finished 20 years in Lovejoy ISD, and just such a gracious man. Really enjoyed talking with him, and nice gentleman. We're glad he's still here. We hope he's going to make it to 30 there. We also, at our end of the year celebration, this is where we have lots of sponsors. Ryan Cade came out. serves our hamburgers for us. We basically, it's a casual day. We sit around and we visit for the afternoon on that Friday after the kids leave at noon. And we have a lot of fun. So between the hamburgers and hanging out and cornhole, we have a lot of fun there. Some of our teachers, and of course, once again, we do tug of war. And which is also a lot of fun because there are coaches up there just kind of hanging out. And our Puster really, their team, they even had shirts made that day to celebrate end of the year, celebrate at the end of the year celebration. I don't know about some of these guys hanging out under with Dawn over there under the tent. Notice they're under the tent. Anyway, but it was a some more celebration there that we had. As we got through it. And then the tug of war chant, and we'll look, we're going to, Sloan Creek, of course, we got their trophy here that we'll be giving to them at convocation. We've already had it engraved. We already had the little thing engraved, but they were our tug of war champs this year. So they really were super, super excited, and it too was a lot of fun to spend time with them. So we're fortunate that we were able to do that. And as I said, the foundation also, we gave out about 35 gift cards to teachers. And it's just a day of celebration, and I look forward to it. Last year was great. Every year is going to make it a little bit better. And for those of you that could attend, you're always welcome. And we super enjoy it. And I appreciate you letting us do that for our teachers at the end of the year. It's just kind of brings us together in fellowship and fun. And Kevin, it's all you.
Good evening. I just have one more celebration to share with you guys. I didn't know Mr. Adler was going to stay with us this long, so it puts a little bit more pressure on me to explain this even a little bit better. So now the one celebration that we're going to close the year out with is our middle school full orchestra. We don't hear a lot about what's going on at the middle school, but this is a pretty big deal. Ashley Dickens, our orchestra director at the middle school, and Marty Ball, who is our middle school band director, submitted a piece of work to TMEA, which is our Texas Music Educators Association. And it gets scored, graded. And we found out last week, I believe it was, that we were one of 6 finalists in the state. And so this is the first time we've ever submitted a piece of work for a full orchestra, and that consists of our top middle school orchestra and our middle school wind symphony students. And so we'll find out just after July 20th how we place, and if we are the top full orchestra in the state at the middle school level, we'll be able to send our students down in February to San Antonio at the TMEA convention to perform. So that's a really big deal, and I know Ms. Dickens and Ms. Ball were extremely proud of the work they did. They recorded a piece of work once. They weren't really satisfied with it. So we bussed all the kids over to the high school again, did another recording, and apparently it hit the spot because they were very happy with that recording. We sent it down, and obviously it turned out well. So did I explain that okay, Mr. Adams? Good. Thank you. And the last update I have for you in student services, our transportation update. Our registration opened up on Wednesday last week, June 14th. After 24 hours, we had 421 students registered. I bet a majority of those were the ones who ended the year on our wait list, and they wanted to make sure that they were the first ones on a bus route this year. As of this morning, we had almost 550 students, so it continues to grow. And we have a little bit of that. We'll do it at the last minute mentality. So I bet it'll slow down a little bit, and then we'll get a really big push towards the end. And our registration closes on July 21st. So there's still quite a bit of time. Anyone who registers during this amount of time or during this next month is guaranteed a spot. After July 21st, we will start a wait list. And those folks on the wait list will have a spot once, assuming there's a seat open, but there is no guarantees after that July 21st. Okay. Any questions? Great. we will try to, this year we have a little bit of a luxury, if you will. Last year we had 12 gen ed routes. We will have 14 gen ed routes next year. And that served over 1,500 students. And so we will do our best. If they sign up before July 21st, we will get them on a route. That's right, because we need some time to build those routes, or not just build them, but we've already built them, but assign kids to routes and fine tune them. And that gives Johnny Can, our route coordinator, time to do that. He needs about 2 weeks because we've got to get those built. And when the bus drivers come back on August 2nd, I believe, they immediately start practicing driving their routes each and every day. Yeah. Thank you. You want it up?
All right. Good evening, Superintendent Cordell and the board. Thank you for having me tonight. I'm going to speak on Kyle's behalf, and we're going to just review very briefly our recent 2023 Operation Unite tabletop exercise event that we conducted this past Thursday. So before I go into that event, let me kind of pull back to February of this year. I was fortunate enough that Kevin and Katie sent me to an advanced incident management course in Conway, Arkansas, where I was able to attend a 3-day advanced course with multiple police and fire agencies. We conducted 11 simulated tabletop exercises, and it was a phenomenal 3-day event for me personally. It was kind of twofold for me. One, I was able to go and really kind of see what modern day police and fire response should look like. And then secondly, I was able to go and really learn how to conduct a tabletop exercise appropriately, because the goal for me was to come back and put on a tabletop exercise for our district. So I attended that 3-day event. I came back and I immediately went to Kevin and said, I've got an idea for our tabletop this year. And Kevin said, go ahead, let me talk to Katie and we'll get it going. So for the next months after that, I was able to meet with police and fire officials here in the local area, and we came together to create the event that we all did last Thursday. So if you'll look at the slides here, it was on June 8th, and we had multiple members that attended, cabinet members, district personnel, campus administrators, school marshals, Lucas Fire Department, Fairview Police Department, Fairview Fire Department. We had the Wiley Fire Chief that came to the event to kind of just sit back and watch how we were doing things. We had 2 Wiley 911 dispatchers that attended the event to help us through that communications process. And then we also had an administrator from the town of Fairview. So a great turnout for us. And then as you can see in the pictures, we kind of, for us, what we wanted to do is we wanted to make it an exercise that everyone would benefit from. So if you were a police officer or a fireman or a school official, you kind of got something out of it. So how we set it up was we simulated an event at one of our campuses, and then we conducted that exercise from start to finish on what that would look like. So all the way from the school marshal response to the police and fire response to the school administration response. And so everyone was at various tables working and collaborating together during the exercise, and we got a lot of great feedback in how it kind of played out. So I can't remember the total amount of attendance, but it was well over, I believe it was anywhere 60 to 80 people is what I'm guessing that turned out. And here's the group picture from that event. So as you can see, there was a large number of representation there. And then also too, I wanted to give a shout out to Ceci Post. She provided a great breakfast for us that morning. So if you ever want to get police and fire guys in the room together, you offer them a free breakfast. And so that turned out well for us. And so overall, I was a little bit nervous, hosting an event with police and fire officials. That's always kind of nerve-wracking because you're always hoping that you can, live up to kind of the standard. And I think overall, everyone was pleased and everyone got a great benefit. The key to tabletop is that we're able to identify those areas of opportunity, the weaknesses. So when we're testing and looking at things like technology, communications, response, we're really trying to take away something from the end of the day. So the primary thing for us is about collaboration and uniting together as a community. And then secondly, we can take something away from it. And then so moving as soon as we got out of the event, we did an after action report with Katie and the cabinet team. And Katie said, hey, we're going to do the same exact thing coming up in a couple of weeks or month with our school officials. So we're going to bring them all in and conduct a tabletop exercise and really hone in and focus on the accountability reunification piece to an event. So I think it's going to be a great thing. And I think they're going to be excited. The school officials are going to be excited to be part of that. Any questions? All right.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Owens. I just wanted to thank Cabinet, our campus leaders, and our teachers and staff for the remarkable job that they are doing in regard to planning for the 23-24 school year. We are facing unprecedented challenges in public education, and certainly in Lovejoy, whether it be shortages in terms of educators and teachers, a lack of funding from the state. As you all know, our legislature did not increase the basic allotment during the regular session, and we are facing unprecedented inflation. So we've got our challenges, but to have a leadership team, both at the district level and the campus level, that is all about controlling what we can control and looking at every challenge and using it as much of an opportunity as possible, and working together and really embodying our 5 culture tenets of relationships, learning, collaboration, results, and fun. It's incredible what the team has been able to accomplish together, and I want to thank them for that and tell them how proud I am of that. And I know they get asked, sometimes people stop them, whether it's in the grocery store or when they're out and about, and they'll say, you know, don't you just love that it's summer? Have things slowed down? And the answer is no, they haven't slowed down. They are working so hard already on next school year, whether it be budget and hiring, curriculum writing, PLC conference with our teachers, safety and security, as Casey just shared. But I just appreciate all of their efforts, and I'm excited for them to be able to get a break and have some time to rest and rejuvenate and take care of themselves and their families.